Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/slash Tales from Tech Support. In today's episode, laptop battery replacement not what you think. And then fire shootout. Crystal power is down? I'll be right over, ma'am. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Laptop battery replacement not what you think. Quick one but facepalm pretty hard. Happened this morning. User is a new employee. Position is work from home full time. User had issues getting on the VPN on her first day last week. She had never used one before. Well, this morning she called in and this was the conversation. User, hello. The charge on my laptop battery is low, and I don't have a spare one. Can you send me another battery, please? Me, thinking about my career choice for a second. You should have received a charging cable when you were given the laptop. Do you have that? User, well, I have this blue cable with plastic clips on both ends. Me, that is a network cable. The one you are needing is black and has a power brick in the middle of it. It will be quite large. User, oh. I will go look for that. Thank you. Call ends. I just don't know some days. Some users start from absolute zero. And unfortunately some of them never go above that level. My girlfriend was working with an absolute winner that was supposed to be writing automation software and didn't know what a Windows button, scroll bar, or tab was. And she's been with the company for over a year. Maybe I should ask her for some resume padding tips. Since she obviously shouldn't be working in IT. Hey, at least she didn't condescendingly explain that her laptop is wireless. First thing I thought of too. I was going to say that. I had a customer who couldn't figure out how to open their MacBook. Had the Apple logo right side up instead of upside down. And then there was the guy who confused the brand new, received as a gift, fully loaded MacBook Pro with a Surface Pro. I've been working in tech for over 20 years and I did that with my MacBook this morning. In my defense, I hadn't had coffee, and I've only had a MacBook since Friday. Mine would open but there was no keyboard or screen. It was just the logo, but now vertical instead of horizontal. I took it back and they swapped it out for a new one. The turnaround time was incredibly fast. All jokes aside, how do some of these people get hired for work from home jobs, and they do not have the basic knowledge of computers? Weekly EHAVE employees call and ask for training, since they are new hires and need to learn how to use the computer. Like I am not sure what their managers thinks we do here in the help desk. In my experience, hiring managers never consider the computer skills of applicants. It is all about the people skills for help desk, and they think the department can train to the person to get their technical skills to adequate. Reminds me of that I've already restarted my computer twice, it didn't do anything. See, I'll do it again so you can see me to it. Proceeds to turn the monitor off and on. In my younger years I did about 10,000 tech support calls as part of a software company. This got to be a normal question. Now you're not turning the monitor off, are you? The tower and the monitor are not the same thing. That's like me asking you to turn off your VCR and you turn the TV off. I get it a lot where they think they restarted the PC. But they only logged out and back on. Wow. That's terrifying that someone is that clueless in these times. Yeah, I can only assume that they had never used a laptop until this job. I knew a girl in college that didn't know what a desktop was, but I'm still pretty sure she knew how to use one, just not familiar with the word. I mean, the VPN part one, understand, if you've never had to work from home or be connected to one that can make sense. On the other hand, a lot of points are lost on the battery issue. Interesting. So this user was using their computer so little last week, not sure which day she started, that she was able to get through until today on just one charge of the internal battery. Okay, I am one of the people who preaches that managers should trust their employees' productivity and measure results, not attendance. But a new employee's laptop being so inactive that a battery charge lasts for several days means I hope there is a way to measure productivity, smiley face. Hopefully, by last week, OP meant Friday. I encountered a poor soul that shut down a production server cause one of the peripheral devices was not working. No problem except no wake on LAN and server is in locked rack and remote location. A nice trip for an FE to turn the power back on. Okay, who was the schmuck who gave a user that level of access on a server? And forgot to install a remote lights out system? First one's understandable, VPNs are something I'm sure many people have never had to set up. Either their company doesn't use a VPN, or their corporate-issued laptop already had the settings pre-configured. Second one screams ignorance. I would do this. Is it broken? Yes. Okay, I'll send you a replacement battery. Sends a replacement battery, but discharged for safety reasons. And then fire shoot out. This occurred in 2000. Customer was a chiropractor who, against our strongest recommendation, purchased an e-machine which was about the lowest budget machine you could get. Proprietary power supply, cramped layout, minimal expansion ports. He purchased it so he could do medical dictation for his patient visits, so 3 weeks later he came back and purchased a $300 sound card because the built-in sound card was crap. Critical to the story are another customer, a Colorado 250 tape backup, and our policy of always powering up and testing a machine in the presence of the customer before taking it into the repair queue. We'd make any notes and then customer would sign off on those notes. No signature, no repairs. This customer was a pain in the butt. Every 3 to 4 weeks they'd call or come in complaining about how slow it was, or how poorly the speech-to-text engine worked, etc., etc. Unfortunately, I was the new guy, so whenever he came in the store there would be a mad scramble to the back, and I'd find myself the only one at the tech bench. One quiet midweek afternoon, I suddenly realize I'm all alone, except for a browsing customer. With a sinking feeling I look across to the parking lot and, there it is. That car. And oh heck no, he's unloading his PC this time. Son of a motherless goat. In he comes, stomping his way back to the tech bench. I plastered on a fake smile and this is what ensued. Me, good afternoon. Dr. Butthead, that piece of crap software isn't working right again, and I need it fixed tonight. At this point my cowardly coworkers trickle out of the back, as they see I'm fully trapped and can't escape. Me, dragon dictate? Dr. B, I never should have bought anything from you people. This whole thing has been a pile of crap. I want it fixed. Me, well let's hook it up and you can show me what it's doing. Dr. B, I don't have time for that, I'm just dropping it off and I need it fixed by Friday. Me, well we have to hook it up and boot into Windows before we can take it in for service. Dr. B, it boots up just fine. I don't have time, I have an appointment. Me, well I'm sorry, but to protect our customers our policy is that we can't take it in for service without you signing off on the condition when you dropped it off. Dr. B, look, I don't have to sign anything. I bought it here and you guys warranty it so you have to fix it. This is bull. I know my rights. Me, almost done hooking it up well, I'm almost ready to turn it on so just give me another minute, and we'll print out the intake form, and you can be on your way. Tell me exactly what it's been doing? Dr. B, well when I try to record any patient notes it just says unable to save patient data. Me, can you load other patient files? Dr. B, no, like I said, it isn't working and you need to fix it. Again. Me, about to hit the power button. Well, have you been backing up your files? Dr. B, yes, of course I have. Do you think I'm stupid? Me, no sir, I was just asking in case we have to restore any data. Kapow. And then fire shoot out. As in 6 to 8 inches of bluish mixed with ugly orange flames shot out of the power supply fan intake for about 2 seconds, then it belched a cloud of foul, fried electronic smell, black greasy smoke and fell silent. Dr. B, screaming, what the F asterisk 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 did you do? I don't have any backups, you jackass. Eventually, when the dust and smoke cleared and after several calls with the owner, he decided not to sue. I think the deciding factor was that the other customer in the store had heard him both say he had been doing his backups, and then post-boom loudly declare he didn't have any backups. Perhaps I'll tell about the mummified mouse another time, or the house filled with reptiles and a carpet soaked with cat pee. If this the story you choose to open with, I can't wait to read the other two. Well, then there was time I was driving back to the shop from a house call and realized I was covered with somebody's dead skin, not mine. We will watch his career with great interest. Meh. The HDD might survive a flaming power supply. Although since you didn't say that, I'm guessing it didn't. When I was stationed in England, USAF, I lived in the dorms on base. England runs on 220V/50 Hz, which really messes up older analog clocks, but that's not the point. However, the dorms on base were supplied with 110V/50 Hz, which was convenient, aside from the clock issues. A friend of mine, who lived OFF base, bought a new computer, and brought it to me to install/configure for him. I set it up, using one of my power cords. UK plugs are different, but again on base, everything was US standard, and gave it back to him. I no longer remember if I warned him, and he forgot, or we both forgot, but when I gave it to him, the power supply was still set to 110V. He took it home, plugged it in, hit the power button, and promptly lit up the entire room with blue light. Surprisingly, only the power supply died, and I think he got that repaired, not replaced. Stupid customer, your anger has allowed the magic smoke to exit the machine. Yeah, once that blue smoke gets out, it's hard to get it all back in. Wow. I think it's been 20 years since I've seen anyone reference releasing the magic smoke. Boy, does that bring back memories. Now everyone is going to want a flamethrower app. LOL, want a flamethrower? There's an app for that. Only if it's reusable. It probably wouldn't have stood up in court anyway. Most repair facilities plainly and clearly state not responsible for customer data, or something along those lines. Well, since he didn't want to sign the drop-off form, which computer exploded? Yours? Here? No, you didn't drop anything off here. I remember those stupid e-machines power supplies, with the stepped back wall. Had to replace one that had a fan making a racket. Turned out to be easier to replace the fan than to source the power supply. I also let the magic smoke out of an Antec power supply once. I had an old 3.5-inch floppy drive that had no side walls on the power connector. As such, if you put the power cord on offset one pin to either side, you would short either the +5 or the +12 rail to ground. I hooked everything up by feel, because it was hidden between the HDD and the CDR and shorter than either, and hit the power button. The load meter on my UPS briefly pinned, and then the power supply said "fut" and made smoke, with a brief flame. I'll never forget the smell of burning capacitor. Smelled just like when a 12th grader in my dorm set his pillow on fire when his reading lamp fell on it. Sounds like he could have benefited from a certificate of computering from the Google Bing College of Computing. Take my well-earned upvote for the Google Bing Certificate of Computering reference. you dedicated TFTS denizen. Found her certificate. Google Bing lady. Perhaps I'll tell about the mummified mouse. Had an HP small form come in once. It caught fire through the PSU. Because the mummified mouse carcass that had partially bit through some of the wires finally dried out enough to ignite. What actually happened to cause the fire out of the PSU? Did it give up as a computer and want to change careers to a rocket? Have no idea. I mean, it was an e-machine and those PSUs and other components failed a lot. I can't describe how cheap the components were. Or had enough of its owner, smiley face. Was it full of dust and dirt, or just a piece of junk from the factory, waiting to explode? It was less than 6 months old. That said, those e-machines were the crappiest crap on the market, and knowing the good doctor, he probably didn't want to pay an electrician to wire his offices correctly, so for all I know he could have been running on an open neutral or something. Crystal power is down? I'll be right over, ma'am. I accidentally ended up in the phone book as a computer repair company. I swear this happened. It was around 2007. The company I started had a technology type name. So when I declined repeated attempts at obtaining a Yellow Pages ad, and almost never answering my phone because I was busy kickstarting my business, the crazy marketing people at the local Bell company threw me into the computer repair services category of the published directory. And I was at the top of the list alphabetically. Why me? After a while of ignoring the calls, well, I just went with it. The company I was starting was having funding issues, and was slow to develop, so I just started going on service calls when someone would call me to fix their computer. I just charged a lot, and made it worth my while. So I got a call about Microsoft Outlook corruption, or something really lame like that. Remember Outlook.pst files? Pretty sure it was some kind of software issue on a Windows XP box. I went to the house in a very rural area. Way out in the boondocks. Super slow internet. The lady was older, and not very computer savvy. But I needed to save her PC from corrupted data files, or some such. I think it had a failing, or full 40 gigabytes hard drive, or something that would take a lot of time to fix, but was not a difficult problem. The main issue was that her business was down and I had to get it back up again, even temporarily. Then we got to talking. The lady really needed her computer fixed because there were business transactions at stake. She was selling big ticket items and the customers needed her to answer questions and ship the items fast. I am not normally one to get distracted from business and let my eyes wander off my task. But this was different. I was apparently inside the lair of one of the most sacred and illustrious sites for crystal power in the whole country. Because my customer would speak some kind of enchanted spell over these crystals that she found, and sell them on eBay for about 100 times their worth as minerals. She pointed around the eerily dim room at her numerous crystals that were given spooky names and explained that each one had been carefully energized by whatever powers she claimed existed in the area. Her house was full of these colorful crystals, some sitting under triangles, or hexagons, or strange lighting. Maybe she grew them, I don't know. But sure enough, once I fixed the PC, probably a full hard drive, I perused her broken email box. I came across numerous excited emails with questions pertaining to the power or energy of a particular rock that she was selling. I'm talking about crystals in the $100 plus range. She bragged about crystals going for well over $200. Well, I hate to say that I was her enabler. I eventually got her PC running again, installed a new hard drive, charged her an arm and a leg for my time, and went back to screening my calls. No sacred crystals were harmed in the making of this Reddit post. Prod computer. Pull out magic 8-ball. Consulted with serious expression. Inform customer of diagnosis. Outlook not so good. Who are you, who are so wise in the ways of science? One guy I worked with back in the day. We were at a customer site and the person who we were working for/with was quite technically challenged. I don't remember what it was the customer said, but after goggling for a few seconds my coworker pulled 3 D&D dice from a pocket, rolled them on the table in front of him, and then scooped them up and said, "Okay." I wouldn't have believed the story if I hadn't been there myself. Because my customer would speak some kind of enchanted spell over these crystals that she found. You do know that the job you were doing was to arrange tiny wafers of sand which have been carved with intricate runes next to one another, and then speak complex magical incantations over them to help them dream, right? I eventually got her PC running again, installed a new hard drive. If that had been a SCSI hard drive, then you would have been practicing deeper magic from before the dawn of time. Since it was probably EIDE, all you did was conjure up a demon made of spinning rust and magical rocks, bound it with tiny talismans of steel and resin, and used those to enslave it as a servant to another demon for all of eternity, or until the warranty on the secondary drive expires, about 366 days if you originally summoned it from the lower planes of Serendesk. The only difference between PC repair and magical crystals is that the PC parts tend to come in much more complicated boxes. Crystals are really good to keep bad energy people at distance. You also need a good aim and a strong arm. A slingshot helps, just saying. They also keep overly religious relatives from visiting more than once. She was clearly a stoner, rocking out and bolder than most. Granted, she was making a concrete living, but it wasn't on a solid foundation. A crazy lady started mixing water, sand, stones, and cement together, claiming it would make for a solid foundation. Surprisingly enough, it started yielding concrete results. I need a magic crystal to understand some of my customers. There is a fine line between divining problems using magic crystals and banging some sense out of a customer's head using a rock. I mean, it's not as if we don't use extremely carefully constructed silicon crystals in special configurations. One of the restrictions on eBay is selling items you claim have magical properties. I'm sure it's because of people like this. I wonder how many people have gotten away with weasel wording. Like unobtainamite crystal, traditionally associated with healing, relaxation, power, and other SEO woo keywords. These crystals have had the incantation of rip you off recited over them by a fully licensed witch of the 3rd level, private academy of woo, and have been kept in a reticulated copper woo box for 1 lunar month. All technically true. Well, assuming she's kept up with the crystal believers and had OP as an enabler, she's probably moved on to her own website on Squarespace or something. Some crystals are really good stabbing objects. Do they still look pretty once you've done that? I like how everyone talks about the crystals and not OP getting roped into tech support by a phone book. I mean, if people are willing to call you out of the blue and pay you 5 times your regular rate to do troubleshooting a smart 7-year-old could do, are you going to turn them down every time? I know, right? That is the most amazing part of this post. And that OP just went with it, and charged a lot to make it worth my while. That's some awesome power right there, man. They threw me into the computer repair services category of the published directory. And I was at the top of the list alphabetically. Why me? That's what you get for naming your company Aardvark Computing. Acorn was named to be before Apple in the phone book, so it's not that far-fetched. Close, but the second part was simply technology, which should be generic enough. How do I get into IT? I don't know, man. I tried selling dope and just sorta ending up doing IT work for a Fortune 500 company. Shrugs. I did sell pot and still ended up doing IT work for a bunch of high-tech companies over the past 40 years. Work hard, party hard were their mantras. FYI, dope means wildly different things to different people. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.